And we covered up to the movements in exchange rate. We have discussed the devaluation and depreciation part. And we discussed last point in the previous session was impact of depreciation and devaluation. Okay? So from the same topic we continue. And meanwhile, online students can confirm if they are audible. Okay, sure. Next topic in the same continuation or next subtopic in the devaluation is J curve. So these are the axes for the J curve. On the y-axis we have BOP, and at this point at horizontal line BOP at the horizontal line BOP is equal to 0. Now when you go below the horizontal line, when you go negative into the y-axis, then BOP is negative. And if you go up, BOP is positive. So that is the axis that we are working with. Now it shows the trajectory once a country decides to devaluate the currency. So first of all, make this, then we will continue further. Okay. The explanation part and other things. So first you make this curve. At this point, BOP is equal to 0. Okay. We are going down here, deficit BOP, deficit here, BOP surplus. Okay, now the curve basically argues, first of all, write 2 lines, then we do the explanation part. The curve shows the trajectory of BOP. The curve shows the trajectory of BOP post devaluation by a country. Post devaluation by the country, not a country. Devaluation by the country. Are we clear? So now the idea is that this country has done devaluation. So we start the curve where devaluation is there. Okay, so it always happens at time equal to 0 because we are starting there. Now the idea is, now right, in the beginning BOP goes into further deficit. In the beginning BOP goes into further deficit, and it takes certain time before it can start recovering and surpass the previous levels. Okay, so let us say at point C it is surpassing the previous level. Okay, you do not have to necessarily make this ABC. Okay, ये curve में बनाया नहीं जाता traditionally. This is only for explanation that I have made. So do not add this to your curve. Or if you want to add, you can just add this point, not B and A. Okay, that is not at all necessary. You can add just this point where BOP is same as the original level. Now what curve is showing is clear to us कि पहले BOP में deficit increase होगा, then recovery होगी, and then eventually it will come to the level where we are at the same level. Then only it will give you benefits. So benefits from devaluation are not immediate, right? Benefits from devaluation are not immediate, and there is an adjustment period. Okay. Now, why it happens? Let us talk about that. So, right, it happens because the revenue from exports reduce. Okay, because your exports now have lesser value in international prices. Remember what we discussed yesterday. Complete this line and then think about it. It happens because the export revenue decreases. Okay, now think about it. Take time. इसी सब के कल के concept भी practice होंगे. I mentioned an example yesterday, bicycle one. जो bicycle $120 की थी वो $100 की हो गई थी. So basically, by exporting the same number of bicycle, we are assuming your export remains same in the immediate period. You do not get immediate orders. For the same export, now you get less money. So your BOP deficit should increase. For same import, you have to pay more. Okay, right? And import bill will increase. Just this much you add in the same line. And import bill will increase. Okay? Are we clear now? So immediately there is always worsening because you cannot immediately gain. जब आपका export price कम हो गया, it takes some time for you to gain orders. Okay? First of all, you gain some order, it doesn't matter. For example, I sold 1 lakh bicycle at $100, sorry, $120 each. Are we clear? So how much revenue we were getting? So roughly $12 million we were getting from it. Now, if there is devaluation, price of my bicycle go down to $100. And this improves my export. Export improve. From 1 lakh, they improve to 1,15,000. How much is my revenue? Still less than this. So even after increasing my export, I'm not able to earn same as earlier. So it takes a lot of time, by the way, for recovery. Clear? You surpass this point C only when your sale increase 1,20,000 units. So even if you, first of all, you cannot improve immediate sale. आपको immediate order नहीं मिलेंगे export के. So in the beginning, you lose only. Then you start recovering when you start increasing export. But your export must increase a significant level so that your actual revenue starts increasing. So that is point C. And same is about import. So now, right? What was the last phrase? Last 2-3 words बताइए मुझे. What we have written? What were the last 2-3 words? And import bill increases. Okay. So right in the next line. After some time, the country is likely to gain more export orders. After some time, the country is likely to gain more export orders and find some domestic substitute to more expensive imports. Gain more export orders and find some domestic substitutes to expensive imports. जब आपका import महंगा हो जाएगा तो हो सकता है domestic products सब competition देने लग जाए उन्हें. Domestic products may start competing with them, so you can reduce some of the imports because they're expensive. Okay? So there is some import substitution, there is some export gain, and that is how eventually you improve. But if your exports are not elastic, you will never recover this point C. A country like India, if we do devaluation, we will suffer something like this. हम कभी recover नहीं कर पाएंगे इस point को. Our imports cannot reduce. Half of them or more than half of them are primary sector. Oil reduce नहीं कर सकते. Okay, number of things we can't reduce. Only a handful of manufactured products we can reduce by creating domestic base, but that will also take a lot of time. So this is the problem with India. India is not a suitable country for devaluation. So devaluation doesn't benefit everyone. That is the understanding that we need to have. Clear है अभी पूरी तरह से? So it takes time for you to make a recovery. So it all depends upon the elasticity, right? The country having elastic trade, is likely to recover fast. Whereas a country with inelastic trade may not benefit at all. For example, India may not benefit at all. For example, India. Clear? So that is the J curve theory. Why we call it J curve, I think is clear. The shape, okay, that resembles the letter J. Right? One more term, Marshall-Lerner conditions. Marshall-Lerner conditions. What is Marshall-Lerner condition? The same thing that we have discussed. Right? The elasticity criteria. In bracket, you can write the elasticity criteria. That is called Marshall-Lerner condition. So we have already discussed it. So that's all. And with this, we have covered the exchange rate, basic exchange rate. Now, let us add more information to the exchange rate. So far, we have been using the term exchange rate. But now let us understand the exchange rate that we use day-to-day basis, that $1 equal to 83 rupees, or if we say Indian exchange rate, 1 rupee is equal to 0.0122 or 21 something dollar. Either of them is a nominal exchange rate. Okay. And it is also bilateral because it is between two currencies. Okay. So right. The day-to-day exchange rate we use for all practical purposes. The day-to-day exchange rate we use for all practical purposes is bilateral nominal exchange rate. Is bilateral nominal exchange rate. Underline this, bilateral nominal exchange rate. Okay? Just that you need to aware of. So now there are two more type of measures that we need to understand. Next heading, right? We just have to write this one line because this gives you a context to the next topic. So next topic is real exchange rate. Now, if there is nominal, something is real also. And the first line itself is a very comic line, or I would say is a counterintuitive or irony. So real exchange rate is never used in real life. So real exchange rate is useful for research and analysis purpose only. Is useful for research and analysis purposes only, and not used by household and firms. Or not used by household and firms. Next paragraph. Its most important use is to evaluate the product to product, evaluate the product to product exchange value. We do not do it, but if we try to calculate what is product to product exchange rate, exchange value, that is real exchange rate. Now you understand what we are talking about. Money supply changes everything, and any parameter, by the way, which is changed by money supply is called nominal parameter. We have discussed that. I think I mentioned that earlier. In the macroeconomics, we discussed nominal variable, real variable, and we discussed flow variable, stock variable. वहाँ पे हमने discuss किया था. Still, you can write for reference one more time in bracket, right? Nominal variables are those that change with money supply and prices. That change with change in money supply and prices. That change with changes in or change in money supply and prices. Prices will automatically change with money supply. Actually, we do not even have to write half of the information here. Prices नहीं भी लिखेंगे तो आपको समझ जाना चाहिए. When money supply changes, price always change. So that should be understood. And of course, we are talking about change. Even change we do not have to talk about. Okay. So anyways, so यहीं पे problem होता है थोड़ा, by the way. Lot of things are there which can be directly interpreted, what we have been discussing. But in examination, a lot of time we miss out on that part. You know the topic, but you are not able to link it to what you have already done. Okay? So ये common mistake होता है. But anyways, this is clear to us. So nominal वो होता है जो money supply से change हो जाता है. Now, for example, we increase the money supply continuously in certain economy, and that way people will have more income, and also prices will increase. Meanwhile, production is not changing in that economy. So production नहीं change हो रहा है. What will happen? If someone can see this economy, there is no real impact on people's life. Okay. For example, there is an island, isolated island. In that isolated island, let us say they have some gold coins which they use for exchange, which is their money supply. So let us say they have 2,000 gold coins, and that is a finite supply, fixed supply. Now with this gold coin, they trade in everything. So people own some gold coin on the basis of what they trade, and that is their wealth, and ultimately with that they trade also. Now in this economy, let us say there is some basic production of meat, there is animal rearing, there is fisheries, there is some basic agriculture, and some other products, like any basic tribal isolated economy. Now in this economy, for some reason, they come across a fortune. They dig somewhere and find a lot of gold coins there. Now in this economy, suddenly instead of 1,000 gold coins, there are 5,000 gold coins. What will be the impact on people's life? Bataiye.
also create a lot of surplus of money and critically see there is no demand, critically see value of the money. Some issues are able to buy on demand, pay more for that particular good.
ठीक है, बिल्कुल ठीक है. और इसको अगर हम समराइज करके सिंप्लीफाई करें, what we have been saying, the simple idea is, since production is same and our welfare depends upon production, welfare doesn't change. What will happen? There will be some readjustment of wealth. Some people now will have more, some people will have less. That will happen. But other than that, overall production will not change. Overall, there will largely be worsening of their status. Equality पे ही फर्क पड़ेगा. Otherwise कोई change नहीं होगा. Because our welfare ultimately depends upon what we are producing, not with what we are buying those products. Prices will increase. जिन लोगों को सोना मिला वो बाजार में जाके चीजें खरीदेंगे. They will buy everything in the market, and soon market will be out of supply. And then now when products are not available, in desperation, people will be ready to buy 4 times, 3 times. That is how price increase, since scarcity. Eventually money will run out. Okay, and then once again it will stabilize. So slowly it will stabilize like that, and overall prices will increase. No impact at all on their real purchasing power. Okay, so यही होता है. इसीलिए इसको नॉमिनल कहा जाता है कि ये जो इनकम बढ़ गई, वेल्थ आ गई, it is all nominal because it didn't change anything in your. So anything which changes with money supply is nominal. Clear? So nominal is good because in day-to-day life we have to use nominal. We are affected by money. We can't say I'm not going to be affected by money. That will be delusional. Now some Western folks have started saying that also. Let's go back to barter. Let's stop using energy, and they're using a mobile phone to type that. So next point is, right?
Sir, I just wanted to confirm that, of course, somewhere variable in real sense will change the money concept, right? But for the real variable, the prices they only have there, right?
Real variable change only when the resources change. Actual resource production change will change. For example, labor supply changes will affect the real wages, or labor demand changes will affect the real wages. Otherwise, if we just keep on increasing the wages and also the prices, it will not affect anything. That is what it is. Okay? Production increases. Okay? Resource should increase in either way, either production based resource or output. Okay? So जब तक वो increase नहीं होगा, ये नहीं change होगा. So money impacts us, we can't deny that, and we can't remove money from our system, and it is very important we discuss that, how much important money is. But ultimately we must also understand everything falls back on production. Money is just a medium. Ultimately that is also true. That is why Bitcoin is largely a farce. People believe in it is a different thing, but ultimately it has to fall down because there is no resource base behind it. Okay? इसके पीछे कोई रिसोर्स वैल्यू नहीं है, इसके पीछे कोई एक सिस्टम नहीं है, इसलिए ये इवेंचुअली ये फॉल होगा. इट्स ए बबल व्हिच हैज कंटिन्यूड फॉर टू लॉन्ग. At least that's what classical economists believe. Okay, either we all be proved wrong, that's a different thing. हो सकता है वो भी, I mean there can be paradigm shifts also. Now anyways, let's continue. So हमने थोड़ा सा रिवाइज किया रियल एंड नॉमिनल वेरिएबल को. Now nominal exchange rate we use. Now होता क्या है, I mean let us understand the need for it. So I'm explaining you something which you will not even find in any book, by the way. रियल वेरिएबल हमें इसलिए चाहिए क्योंकि फर्स्ट एक्सप्लेन इन हिंदी एंड देन आई विल एक्सप्लेन इन इंग्लिश. रियल वेरिएबल इसलिए चाहिए क्योंकि नॉमिनल वेरिएबल के साथ एक प्रॉब्लम. चाइना ने डिवैल्यूएशन किया. डिवैल्यूएशन करके वो अपना ज्यादा सामान बाहर बेच रहा है और उसके बदले में कम उसको डॉलर मिल रहा है. साथ ही वो इंपोर्टेड प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए भी ज्यादा प्राइस पे कर रहा है. तो अगर हम देखें तो चाइना अपना ज्यादा से ज्यादा गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बाहर भेज रहा है और बाहर से कम गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज ले रहा है. तो इसका मतलब आप अपने प्रोडक्ट्स की वैल्यू कम कर रहे हैं. इन द ट्रेड आप बहुत ज्यादा प्रोडक्ट देके बहुत कम प्रोडक्ट ले रहे हैं, which is a loss making situation. It is not good. So devaluation is not good from wealth perspective. It might be good for current income perspective. That is also a perspective that we need to look at. ये आपको बुक्स में पढ़ाया नहीं जाता है क्योंकि ये इतना इजी कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है. ये पीएचडीज वगैरह में आपको समझ में आता है when you go into the depth of literature. So ये पढ़ाया भी नहीं जा सकता क्योंकि इसके लिए फिर आपको बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी हो जाएगा. It will unnecessary. Be little loud, sorry. Yeah.
So if they are selling more by devaluing the value, so that quantity is covering up for that export, it's creating more money, right?
Yes.
And they are importing less. So it will definitely create BOP surplus.
Surplus तो मिलेगा आज. But what are you doing in that? Okay, let's forget about country. Make it an easy example. There is a farmer. There is a cloth maker. They directly exchange bananas with or wheat with clothes. Farmer give the cloth maker 2 quintal wheat for 1 full dress. Okay, that is the idea. Now, for some reason later on, we introduced price index system. So traditionally they were doing this, okay, 2 quintal for dress. Now that was a real exchange. Now in nominal exchange, farmer and the cloth maker do not exchange their products. What they do, farmers sell the wheat. Let us say wheat sell for 4,000 and a garment goes to 4,000. Okay, now basically with 4,000 you can buy the garment. Let us say nominal and real are same in the beginning. Over time what happens? Farmer reduces wheat prices in order to sell more. Meanwhile, the other person is not changing that. Okay, tailor is not changing his prices, but farmer is changing his prices. He now sell wheat at 1,000 rupees, but with that he is able to sell far more wheat. अब उसका क्या exchange हो गया? वो 4 क्विंटल wheat देकर एक ड्रेस ले रहा है. If you go in reals, is he better off in that sense? In that sense we are talking about. हमने वही कहा प्रोडक्ट टू प्रोडक्ट एक्सचेंज हम देखना चाह रहे हैं रियल के थ्रू. रियल एक्सचेंज रेट बाय द वे इज द टफेस्ट टॉपिक इन एंटायर इकोनॉमिक्स. ये मैं सिर्फ यहाँ नहीं, मतलब यूपीएससी के सिलेबस में नहीं, पूरी इकोनॉमिक्स एज ए सब्जेक्ट ओवरऑल टफेस्ट सब्जेक्ट ये होता है रियल एक्सचेंज रेट. इसको समझना, इट टेक्स ईयर टू अंडरस्टैंड इट. सो इसलिए अगर बहुत डेप्थ में भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा है, ओवरव्यू भी समझ में आ गया तो इट्स इनफ एक्चुअली. और मैं एक एग्जांपल देता हूं. लेट अस टेक एग्जांपल. नाउ लेट अस टेक कंट्री एंड लेट अस टेक एन एग्जांपल व्हिच वी कैन कनेक्ट विद आवर डे टू डे लाइफ. नाउ इन इंडिया ए बनाना कोस्ट अस, 1 dozen banana cost us $1 roughly if we go by the nominal exchange rate. Roughly 80 rupees for 1 dozen banana, that is roughly the nominal exchange rate. So अगर हम एक बनाना का प्राइस इंटरनेशनल प्राइस देखें इंडियन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, तो that is $1. We can export banana for $1. That's what I'm saying. In USA 1 dozen banana costs $4. Okay, now in USA the iPhone cost $1,000, let us say. In India iPhone costs 80,000. Over there we have price parity, but not in banana. Now if there was product to product exchange and India could give banana to get an iPhone, and now remember 1 dozen banana is equal to $1 for us, and if USA is ready to take bananas at $4, अगर हम $4 का एक बनाना USA को दे पाए, just think in that manner. For $800 we have to give 200 dozen bananas. Are you able to follow me so far? Product to product exchange, let us forget about price. We can directly give them 400 dozen bananas and 200 dozen bananas, and we can directly get an iPhone. If we see that in our exchange rate terms, Indian exchange rate terms, what would that be? हमने इफेक्टिवली सिर्फ 200 डजन बनाना देके एक आईफोन ले लिया. उसका इंडिया में क्या प्राइस हुआ आईफोन का उस केस में? नाउ डू दैट कैलकुलेशन. 16,000 rupees. Okay, so when you take the overall average, that is how you calculate the real exchange rate. If there was no dollar and if you just exchange product to product, this is an extreme case कि हम बनाना दे और डायरेक्टली आईफोन एक्सचेंज में ले ले. Okay, so we will be at lot of benefit in that case. Okay, क्योंकि हम product to product exchange देख रहे हैं. So in real exchange rate we look at that average of everything. प्रोडक्ट टू प्रोडक्ट में हम क्या हम अब ज्यादा बेचकर कम सामान पा रहे हैं या कम सामान बेचकर ज्यादा ले पा रहे हैं बदले में? एट व्हाट रेट आर वी एक्सचेंजिंग आवर प्रोडक्ट्स? दैट इज व्हाट रियल एक्सचेंज रेट चेक्स. इफ रियल एक्सचेंज रेट अप्रिशिएट्स, you understand that you are now selling more products, less products to get more. Okay? Write few things, then it will become more clear. और ये आपको रिवाइज करके थोड़ा और बेटर क्लैरिटी आएगा. नाउ लेट अस डिस्कस इन इंग्लिश. ओके, आई जस्ट ट्राई बिकॉज़ इट्स अ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स कांसेप्ट. आई ट्राई टू एक्सप्लेन इन हिंदी unless there are a lot of South Indians around. So right, point number 1, रियल की बात कर रहे हैं. या रियल एक्सचेंज रेट. सो पॉइंट नंबर 1, appreciation in real exchange rate. Appreciation in real exchange rate reflects we are giving away less and getting more. We are giving away less and getting more. क्योंकि appreciation हो तो फॉरेन प्रोडक्ट्स हमारे लिए चीपर हो गए. हम उतने ही पैसे देके ज्यादा फॉरेन प्रोडक्ट्स ले रहे हैं. Getting more, giving less. Are we clear? Similarly, depreciation means we are giving away more and getting less. Now from this angle, China has benefited everyone, by the way. They've given away so many products to the world at such a cheap price. Okay, in that manner they benefited everyone. But वो कैसा बेनिफिट है? वो ऐसा ही बेनिफिट है जैसा Amazon ने सस्ती बुक्स बेच के बुक शॉप्स को बंद करा दिया. कस्टमर के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बेनिफिट है, बट आपके शॉपकीपर, लोकल शॉपकीपर उससे बर्बाद हो गए. More than 70% bookshops in India have shut down. This is data, official data है. More than 70% bookshops. I'm not talking about competition. ये तो they're doing better than before. अपार्ट फ्रॉम कंपटीशन। ओके, और जैसे ये बारबी फेल और इस टाइप की फिल्में आती है तो इनका और सेल बढ़ेगा। सो वी जस्ट वांट टू पुश दिस आइडिया मोर एंड मोर। कम से कम 5 करोड़ लोग जब तक यूपीएससी नहीं लिखेंगे देश का भला नहीं होगा। सो यू गॉट माय पॉइंट कि आप ये कंपटीशन छोड़ दीजिए, आप जो लिटरेचर या जो प्रॉपर बुक शॉप्स होते थे, स्टेशन पे होता था या जहां पे आपको रेगुलर बुक्स मिलता था, वो 70% बंद हो गया। फॉर एग्जांपल खान मार्केट, इन खान मार्केट देयर यूज्ड टू बी मोर देन 10 बुक शॉप्स 20 years ago। सॉरी, 3 बाहरी संस और एक क्रॉसवर्ड और एक और 3 ही बचा है। लास्ट टाइम आई वेंट, मे बी वो भी कम हो गया हो कुछ, फुल सर्कल। ठीक है, सो नोएडा में सेक्टर 27 एंड सेक्टर 18 देयर यूज्ड टू बी कंबाइंड 10 बुक शॉप्स, एक भी नहीं है, नो सिंगल वन टुडे। ओके, जो है वो स्कूल बुक शॉप्स है, देयर आर बुक शॉप्स बट स्कूल बुक शॉप्स, नॉट एनीवन सेलिंग लिटरेचर। और पहले लाइन से वहां लिटरेचर बुक शॉप्स होते थे। दिस इज द डिफरेंस आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट। ये अमेज़न के कारण हुआ है, बिकॉज़ अमेज़न इज गिविंग यू बुक एट ए हायर डिस्काउंट। और ये मुझे तब रियलाइज हुआ था पहली बार जब मैं ऑक्सफोर्ड में था, एंड वी नेवर गेव अवे एनी बुक फॉर मोर देन 40% डिस्काउंट। ये हमारा कंपनी का ही पॉलिसी था। नो सिंगल agency, biggest buyer from our company, bulk buyer, was not getting book at more than 40% discount. Amazon was selling our book customer to customer at 45% discount. जो प्राइस पे हम Amazon को नहीं दे रहे, उससे कम प्राइस पे Amazon कस्टमर्स को दे रहा है। How my other shopkeepers can sell? Because they can sell at best 25% discount. I give them 40. 40 I do not give to everyone, by the way. I only give to the big stockers. जो स्टॉकिस्ट है, पूरी सिटी का स्टॉक लेता है। They will also earn 5%. Then there will be transportation charges. A shopkeeper cannot sell at more than 25% in best case scenario. Amazon 45% डिस्काउंट पे बेच रहा है, वही चाइना ने किया। फ्रॉम कस्टमर्स पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू हमें बेनिफिट है, तो उस तरह से आपको समझना पड़ेगा हु बेनिफिट्स है। बट इन द लॉन्ग रन वी विल बी एट डिसएडवांटेज बिकॉज देयर विल बी नो नियर बाय शॉप्स। एंड एक बार जब आपका लोकल कंपटीशन खत्म हो गया, Amazon ये सब जितना कैशबैक है प्रीमियम में वापस लेगा विद इंटरेस्ट। ओके, दैट इज व्हाट इट विल डू। इट्स वेटिंग फॉर दैट डे। So it's vulture waiting for this corpse to completely decompose the corpse of the physical shops. So they're just waiting for that day. So this is the difference I'm talking about. Amazon USA discounts nahi dete. They've already killed the competition largely. Now you read it again and understand what I've talked about, because ये topic है जहां बहुत बार-बार पढ़ के ही समझ में आएगा. Read the last paragraph again. So China is giving away more, taking less. Yes, it may appear to be beneficial also. इसलिए लोग खरीद भी रहे हैं चाइना से, but at their own loss, which is something you can understand only when you do qualitative analysis, not quantitative analysis. In quantitative analysis, we are already discussing. और उसका एक better है real analysis. Now let us discuss more, right? So appreciation, depreciation we have understood. Okay. और nominal exchange rate में appreciation क्या होता है? That our currency has increased in value. Our currency can now buy more products from abroad. नहीं लिखना आपको, आप लिख चुके हो कल। You have already written the movements in exchange rate. You do not. I'm just discussing again now with the context of real exchange rate. Appreciation. Appreciation buying more होता है क्योंकि foreign products सस्ते हो जाएंगे. Selling more तो depreciation है. That is more desirable. हाँ, it's a common thing to confuse. No problem. हाँ, cause and effect का problem है. कल भी एक स्टूडेंट का मेरे पास डाउट है, सर इसको एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए। So same NER RER में उससे कंफ्यूजन है, और वो भी सेम कोज एंड इफेक्ट के बीच में। एनीवेज लेट्स, और बहुत अच्छे लेवल पे लोगों को इसका कंफ्यूजन रहता है। ओके, सो आई हैव डिस्कस्ड विद सो मेनी पीपल एंड आई हैव आइडेंटिफाइड ये टफेस्ट टॉपिक है सिलेबस का। एनीवेज लेट्स, इसका सबसे सिंपल और इजी वर्जन अब मैं समझाता हूं जिससे एक बार में डाउट्स क्लियर हो जाएंगे। ओके, सो देयर आर 2 एग्जांपल्स व्हिच कैन वेरी इजीली एक्सप्लेन दीस थिंग्स। सो नाउ राइट पीपीपी, परचेसिंग पावर पैरिटी, और इसके बाद हम डिस्कस करेंगे एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जांपल मैकडॉनल्ड्स का। सो दैट विल सेटल एवरीथिंग। सो purchasing power parity. Now, right, PPP is the most well-known application of real exchange rate. Most well-known application of real exchange rate. Where we do product to product comparison. PPP में भी हम वही कर रहे हैं. So when we are compare our GDP, I produce 1 million dozen banana in India. My value of that banana will be how much? 1 million dozen banana will be valued $1 million for Indian, because in our market the price is $1. For an American, same production will have value of $4 million. So America की GDP तो ऐसे ही 4 गुना हो जाती है. This is the problem in nominal comparison. They are affected by price differences. इन पीपीपी वी डू प्रोडक्ट टू प्रोडक्ट कंपैरिजन, वी जस्ट कंपेयर द प्रोडक्शन इन ईच कंट्री, बट उसको भी कंपेयर करने के लिए प्राइस तो चाहिए. सो हाउ डू वी डू दैट, राइट? वी, फॉर एग्जांपल, वी टेक इंडियन आउटपुट बट multiplied by American prices. For example, we take Indian output and US prices and then compare with US GDP. This is PPP, okay? Now our bananas will also be valued at $4 million now. Now purchasing power is same in both the country because prices are same. Now we do the comparison. So हमारी GDP क्या है PPP में? Can you tell me what is India's GDP? What is our nominal GDP? 4 हो चुका क्रॉस, 4.1 है अभी, but 4 is number which you can remember. Okay. 3.7 last year का number है. Okay, we had very good growth, so this year we had almost touched 4.1. So Diwali day, exactly on Diwali day we crossed 4. That was a coincidence, I remember that. So उसी दिन IMF ने breakout किया था that India has finally crossed $4 billion benchmark. Okay, so right now it is 4.1 or 4.2 something, most probably 4.1 something. Anyways, for our simple understanding, $4 billion, trillion dollars, sorry. And what is on PPP? $13 trillion. Okay, तो लिखिए पहले right? For example, in nominal comparison, US GDP is 6 to 7 times that of India. 6 to 7 times that of India. In bracket, right? $4 trillion versus $26 trillion. 26, 27 is something the US GDP versus $26 trillion. So this is somewhere between 6 to 7 times. Are we clear? However, when we compare on PPP terms, the difference is little more than twice. In bracket, right? $13 trillion versus $28 trillion. Okay, so we take average global prices and that we assign to every country's output, and that is how we get PPP. Okay, वो US वाला example bilateral के लिए ठीक है, but if we take a global comparison, then it is like that. The number is based on the global prices. American prices are also less than the global prices, so even American GDP also slightly increase in PPP. Okay, and which countries PPP go down, GDP go down when it comes to PPP? जिनके prices global average से ज़्यादा है. For example, Hong Kong. Okay, Hong Kong prices are more than the global prices. So likewise, clear? So what does it show now? इस data को interpret करें तो क्या meaning है इसका? What is GDP? GDP is the value of production. Meanwhile, online students, do you have any doubt? Okay, so please ask, because this is a topic in which there can be. ये एक student अभी online है, so अच्छा आप ही हैं, okay. Okay, they will see it recorded then. इसका मीनिंग क्या है? जीडीपी था प्रोडक्शन कितना है इंडिया और यूएस का जब हम कंपेयर करते हैं? व्हेन वी कंपेयर द अमेरिकन यूएस प्रोडक्शन, it is not 6 to 7 times difference. America is not producing 6 to 7 times compared to us. America is merely producing twice compared to us. So PPP gives us that comparison, not nominal. This is how PPP is very useful. Okay, product to product output comparison between India and US is given by PPP only. That is why we need PPP. और यही रोल रियल एक्सचेंज रेट का भी है. Okay, जीडीपी का पर्पस क्या होता है? हमने डिस्कस किया था डेफिनेशन दैट इट इज द मॉनेटरी वैल्यू ऑफ और फाइनेंशियल वैल्यू ऑफ टोटल आउटपुट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स एंड सर्विसेज. पर्पस क्या है हमारा? आउटपुट को मेजर करने का. बट आउटपुट को हम लिख नहीं सकते कि इतना ट्रक, इतना गाड़ी, इतना सीमेंट. दैट विल बी थाउजेंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स व्हिच कांट बी एडेड. सो दैट इज व्हाई वी नीड टू सी देयर प्राइसेस. The prices are different in different countries, so for the same production there can be different value in different country, and that will be your GDP. और यही डिफरेंस हो गया ना इससे जीडीपी में. दैट डिफरेंस शुड नॉट बी देयर. वी शुड बी कंपेयरिंग द प्रोडक्शन टू प्रोडक्शन. दैट इज व्हाई पीपीपी इज यूजफुल. हमने उसमें प्राइसेस सब कंट्री का बराबर कर दिया, एंड दैट इज हाउ वी गेट द पीपीपी. और यही रियल एक्सचेंज रेट है. जब हर कंट्री के प्राइस बराबर करके एक्सचेंज रेट देखेंगे तो रियल एक्सचेंज रेट आ जाएगा. अभी क्लियर हो गया? पीपीपी कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं? पीपीपी को कैलकुलेट रियल एक्सचेंज रेट के थ्रू करते हैं. बाय द वे, ओके, सो फॉर एग्जांपल आवर पीपीपी इज $4 trillion. दिस इज नॉट द फॉर्मूला, बट आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एन एग्जांपल. Okay? ऐसा फॉर्मूला नहीं होता क्योंकि वो बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स सिस्टम है. You take logarithm, then geometric means, etc. But we multiply it by nominal exchange rate. Nominal exchange rate is, let us say, 0.122. Let us say this is our nominal exchange rate, and we divide it with real exchange rate. Okay, so let us say the real exchange rate is also there. Sorry, it is the other way around. So we multiply it by real exchange rate, and we divide by nominal. So it is 0.122, and this is somewhere close to 0.48 something. Okay. Sorry, 0.012, and this is also 0.048. So when you multiply this, our GDP will come close to $13 trillion. Okay, this is where the difference occurs. हमारा कितना है अभी real exchange rate? Real exchange rate is very tough to calculate, by the way, because it is so many products average. So बहुत सारे estimate होते हैं. If we go by certain estimates, real exchange rate of India is somewhere around 28. ये हमारा current exchange rate है. Okay, 28, 27, 26, मतलब अलग-अलग लोग अलग-अलग calculate करते हैं. Some people calculate even 26, so 27, 28. Some people even calculate up to 25, but not less than 25. Generally, not more than 28, 29. इन दोनों के बीच का, if we take average, it will be 27. This is our year. Okay, so अब क्योंकि ये तो रिवर्स हो गया ना, अमेरिकन है. So $4 trillion multiplied by the real exchange rate. Our real exchange rate will be opposite of it. 1 divided by 27. Then this, and 1 divided by 84 or 83. If you take it reverse, 4 multiplied by 83 and divide by 27, you get exactly close to 13. यही रफ मैं आपको एक बता रहा हूँ. Clear? So with PPP, I hope half of the things are now clear. Okay, purpose क्या है और क्यों करते हैं. Now another example which settles the thing almost completely is MAC index or Big Mac index. UPSC के हिसाब से important नहीं है, by the way, but it is very important for understanding this. So notes वगैरह ज़्यादा नहीं चाहिए, एक दो लाइन लिखेंगे, rest I will explain only. Right? It is a highly simplistic. It is a highly simplistic, intuitive concept introduced by the Economist magazine. So that magazine used this example actually. By the Economist magazine. It argued to see the real exchange rate, we can compare the price of Big Mac burger between the two countries. To calculate real exchange rate, we can compare the price of Big Mac burger in the two countries. बस यही करना है, आपको real exchange rate मिल जाएगा. And surprisingly, it effectively works and very closely. 90% तक accurate number आता है इससे लगभग सभी countries का. Okay. So how much is the price of this Maharaja Mac in India? Close to 250 rupees, ऐसा ही होगा शायद कुछ. I do not know. I'm veg, so I think somewhere close to 250. जो Maharaja Mac होता है, Maharaja chicken burger. That is equivalent to Big Mac because Big Mac is a beef burger which is not allowed in India. So in India में Big Mac नहीं होता, but the equivalent is Maharaja burger. Okay. Anyways, let's say 250 is the price. I think it is close to this. Now, 250 is the price in India, and in USA, what is the price? In USA, Big Mac sell for $11 to $13. That depends upon which variant you need. There are some differences between them. Okay. So now let us take the average 12. Okay. India maybe I think 300 के लगभग का price. Okay, let's say 300 is the price here because now Indian price is close to 300. The American price is equal to $12. Just compare them. $12 in Indian rupee, how much it will be? 1,000 roughly. No, you are doing 80, so that's roughly 1,000. If we take 83, roughly 1,000 it will be. Okay, almost 1,000. So 1,000 and divide by 300. Now this differential you divide by your nominal exchange rate. You divide this by your nominal exchange rate. 84 divided by 3.3. What you get? You get close to 26 or 25. ये काफी accurate number देता है. So that is how it works. ये काम कैसे करता है? How surprisingly does it work? ऐसा क्या है Big Mac burger में कि आप और कोई product, no other product. People have tried with hundreds of products, doesn't work. Only the Big Mac burger works.
I think why this is working Because firstly, it's mostly McDonald's is in every chain, and हर एक McDonald's is also हर एक country के हिसाब से change होता रहता है उनकी various हिसाब से. तो अगर उनकी इंडिया के हिसाब से beef नहीं होगा, तो basically it will be considered वही vegetables का modified जो हम use करें तो वही English में भी काम होता है.
Almost, बिल्कुल ठीक है.
Because हम हर एक country का specified होता है, वो they Indianize अपनी country में करते हैं. And मुश्किल से वो सारा.
No, you're correct. You're correct. Now let me explain the correct version of it. आपका आंसर ठीक है, but वो it's not using the correct tools. Okay, the tool is it cannot be a product which is manufactured in USA and exported everywhere, or manufactured in 5 places, exported everywhere. It is a product which has to be manufactured locally everywhere. You can't export it even from one country to neighbor country. और ऐसे कितने प्रोडक्ट हैं जो हर कंट्री में मैन्युफैक्चर होंगे और सेम ब्रांड सेम प्रोडक्ट अवेलेबल होगा? नहीं है. That is why it works. It is the largest food chain. Any food chain which is comparable to the McDonald's, and if it has a universal product that is available, even that can work. But there is no one actually. No chain is present in almost all the countries. So because of that, it works. Now, a burger reflects your rental prices. क्योंकि McDonald's को rent भी pay करना है उसमें. It reflects your labor prices because certain people are hired in it. It reflects the rent. It reflects labor market. So दो market पूरी represent करता है. It reflects the transportation. It reflects agriculture. इस कारण से वो काफी सारे आपकी कंट्री के प्राइसेस को कैप्चर कर लेता है इफेक्टिवली. 50 to 60% of your prices it can be captured within a burger. That is how the burger reflects. Then it also captures the purchasing power of people in that country. अगर आप उसको कंपेयर करेंगे आपको पता लगेगा. Okay? So on average, same product in USA costs 3 times more than in India, and that is why our American GDP, when we compare, is on average inflated by 3 times because of the price difference. So when we have to compare, either we increase the value of Indian GDP by 3 or little more than 3. That is why 4 to 13. अभी clear है पूरा? So that is the real analysis. Okay? Real इसलिए use होते हैं variable for comparison purpose. For example, we use real GDP, nominal GDP. हमने किया है ना ये nominal GDP, real GDP. तो आपको याद है उसमें हमने डिस्कस किया था कि प्राइस इफेक्ट आता है बेस. So base year we discussed किया था. Now in that we were also doing comparison, but we were doing intertemporal comparison in the same country over a period of time. So for any comparison, whether it is intertemporal comparison, intertemporal में हम constant price analysis use करते हैं कि एक प्राइस ले लेते हैं किसी एक पीरियड का और उसी पे आउटपुट चेक करते हैं. अगर हम दो कंट्रीज दो प्लेसेस के बीच में चेक कर रहे हैं तो हम एक जगह का प्राइस लेके कंपेयर करेंगे. तो रियल एक्सचेंज रेट का मतलब है वो एक्सचेंज रेट जब हम प्राइसेस एक कंट्री के लेंगे और फिर प्रोडक्ट टू प्रोडक्ट एक्सचेंज देखेंगे क्या. That is what tells us the real exchange rate. Now you got the idea. आपको इसके कैलकुलेशन में नहीं जाना है. आपके लिए रियल एक्सचेंज रेट जस्ट एक सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट है. ओके, सो विद दैट वी कैन एंड द एनालिसिस. आपको बस एक सिंपल तो खैर नहीं है, बट आपको सिंपल रखना है. यू विल नॉट बी आस्क्ड अ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स क्वेश्चन ऑन इट. ओके, इसमें मैक्सिमम जो क्वेश्चन अभी 2-3 बार कंटिन्यूअसली आ चुका है, दैट इज REER, एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी आर शिफ्टिंग टू नेक्स्ट. सो नाउ वी डिस्कस आवर एक्सचेंज रेट इज नॉमिनल, बायलैटरल. सो नॉमिनल टू रियल वी हैव ऑलरेडी डन. What is opposite? What is the alternative to bilateral? The alternative to bilateral exchange rate is effective exchange rate. Next heading. Effective exchange rate. Right. Bilateral exchange rate can be misguiding at times. Bilateral exchange rate can be misguiding at times. वो हमें misguide कर सकता है. For example, rupee may fall against dollar but increase against other currencies. And by the way, it happened in 2022. For example, rupee may fall against dollar but simultaneously increase against other currencies. For example, in 2022. Okay, this happened. So, for example, at that time, what happened? The dollar was increasing in value. It was not actually the change in rupee much, but the dollar was changing very rapidly. So, what happened? Dollar improved against euro by almost 20%. Dollar improved against pound by almost 25%. Dollar improved by large number of currencies significantly. But against Indian currency, dollar improved by 10%. What used to be close to 74 rupee per dollar exchange rate, that became close to 82 at that time in 2022. Okay, that was roughly 10% difference. So India rupee के against वो 10% increase हुआ. But meanwhile, if you compare rupee versus euro and rupee versus pound and other currencies, अगर पाउंड 25% गिर रहा है तो रुपी इज इंप्रूविंग अगेंस्ट पाउंड एट द सेम टाइम. That happened. So rupee improved against most of the currencies in world except ruble or handful of the others. But everybody was saying the rupee is falling, the India is doing bad job, and the economy is doing bad. So people perceived it like that, of course, because we use dollar for our reference. Dollar ही हमेशा use होता है. ये exchange rate 74 था 82 हो गया. That is very bad. आप mismanagement कर रहे हैं. So finance minister said it is not rupee falling against dollar, it is dollar rising against rupee. So she was really made fun of. Everybody, she became butt of joke, and everybody made memes, etc. on her. Yeah, Nirmala Sitharaman. So I am not eating banana. Banana is going inside my mouth. So people started joking like that. Okay, so but she was correct. She was not wrong. But you should not be using that technical analysis with common public. She was referring to this, that you must look dollar improved against everyone. Every currency fell very badly. We were prepared. We have been preparing for that day for more than 1 year because we knew this will happen. And we are actually able to resist very strongly, and we have minimized the loss. It was never a situation for profit maximization. It was a situation of loss maximization. बाढ़ आई है, आप कितना नुकसान कम कर सकते हो, चैलेंज ये है. 5 गांव बह गए और हमने सिर्फ उसको बाहर तक रोक लिया, तो ये हमारा अचीवमेंट है. That is what she was made fun of. ये सारा तो किसी ने, of course, media, how does it work? ये सब तो किसी ने बात की नहीं, एक लाइन उसमें से काट के उसको चलाया. Just one line. The dollar is improving against rupee is not falling. Dollar is improving against rupee. So people made fun. Rahul Gandhi also. Many of his statements are also like that. He does gaffe many times, but many times, for example, Alu and Sona, he never said that thing. That was a cut thing, and he said completely opposite. He said that I am not one of those politicians who will promise you that Alu Dalu Sona Banao. He was actually saying this is an example of absurd type of politics. He was not saying that he was not arguing for it. But उतना ही clip डाला और उतने से ही almost character assassination हो गया. So that's what we need to understand. ये होता है. Media is always interested in that one clip or other people on social media. वो 10 सेकंड का ही काट कर चलाएंगे. But for us, those who understand economics, this concept is called effective exchange rate. You should not look value against dollar. You should look at the average value against all the currencies. That is effective exchange rate. Now you got the context? So right. Effective exchange rate is average exchange, weighted average exchange rate. When we say average, it is weighted average. WEIGHT is weighted average exchange rate. Okay. Against basket of currencies. Against basket of currencies. For example, 6 currency, 36 currency, 40 currency, etc. 6 currency, 36 currency, 40 currency, etc. Okay, so there can be effective exchange rate EER 6, EER 36 likewise. So depending upon how many currency we need to use. So for example, if you want to see against major currencies how we are doing, we use NEER or REER 6. 6 effectively covers more than 2/3 of our trade, because if you take dollar, if you take yuan, if you take dinar, okay, then almost 2/3 of the trade is captured by those currencies. So if you just set 6, that is good enough itself. But if you want to be more comprehensive, then you can use 36. 36 represent almost 95% of our trade, and 40 represent 99% of our trade. So that is the difference. Hard currencies में, I mean, ऐसा कोई table तो नहीं है, but dollar of course is there, euro is there, okay, and yuan is the hardest because that is the least amount of variability. Yuan is a very hard currency, and by the way, ruble has also proved to be a hard currency in recent time, although it is considered soft. Okay, ruble didn't fell, okay, at all despite crisis. But abhi zyadatar currencies अच्छा नहीं कर रही. Even those currencies which are known to be strong, even they are not performing well. So hard currency is one which doesn't change, which has less fluctuations, okay, and which has very high liquidity. Those are the two criteria. Soft currency, which has a lot of fluctuation, liquidity may or may not be low. That is not a necessary thing. So Indian currency is known to be a soft currency, but we are trying to change that status. Okay, we are trying to change that status. So this time actually we didn't resist much. We only controlled it. But for the next time, we are going to prepare for a situation we can completely stop the decline. Okay, up. I mean, for example, in 2021 also I was teaching students कि this year or next year there will be a time when there will be sudden currency crisis world over. ये हम लोगों ने 1.5 साल पहले बात करना स्टार्ट कर दिया था. क्यों? क्योंकि सर्वे ने लिखना शुरू कर दिया था. Not that I had an intuition. Economic survey started talking about it. Economic survey of 2021 itself wrote that there will be a taper tantrum. ये भी हम अभी इसके बाद डिस्कस करेंगे. So there is something called taper tantrum. So taper tantrum is expected, and taper tantrum may happen this year or next year. When it happens, it will be a crisis. India needs to prepare for it. We need to keep aside $50 billion to deal with that. $50 billion forex reserves. So we kept that aside and we used that. That is why India had lesser loss. All other currencies were affected by more than 20%. India was affected less. Now the idea is if we would have kept $120 billion, we could have prevented entire crisis, entire decline. Okay? But we didn't want that because appreciation in rupee would have negatively affected exporter. हम इसलिए भी नहीं चाहते थे. So that was the mean calculation, that we will prevent decline, but not too much, so that neither imports become very, very expensive, but meanwhile exporter continue to have some market. So that was the calculation. और ये इकोनॉमिक सर्वे लिख रहा था 2 साल से. तो सर्वे में इतना डिटेल होता है, इतना प्रेडिक्शन होता है एक्यूरेट. Okay? So anyways, this is clear to you, effective exchange rate. So it's a very simple concept that way. Now, right, effective exchange rate can be nominal or real. Now, right, NEAR, nominal effective exchange rate. Now it's very easy to understand actually. हम क्या कर रहे हैं? नॉमिनल एक्सचेंज रेट का एवरेज ले रहे हैं. ओके, वेटेड एवरेज ऑफ नॉमिनल एक्सचेंज. वेरी वेरी सिंपल. Okay. Now, right, the weights in the formula represent the share of that currency in trade. It is weighted average. So what are the weights? Weights are the share of that currency in trade. So for example, dollar is given 40% weightage, yuan is given 13% weightage. So likewise, हम सभी currencies बराबर है ऐसा नहीं मानते. We give weightage to them. So dollar value changes, it has 40% impact on our average value. Okay? So that is what we are talking. So what is the weight? Weight is this. ये question आ चुका है UPSC में. Okay? So likewise they can ask you formula. Formula नहीं पूछेंगे, but formula में किस क्या-क्या use होता है वो पूछा गया है. So this is clear. N represents the number of currencies. N represents the number of currencies. That's it. Okay, ये होता है इसमें बस. So for example, the formula is written like this. Okay, let me give you a very simple formula. इसके कई version हो सकते हैं. Let us say I from 1 to n. That is the simple formula. Summation. Earlier I was trying to give you the integration formula. Let's avoid that. Let's use this one. क्योंकि अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए आपको एग्जाम में फॉर्मूला लिखना नहीं है, तो इसलिए इंटीग्रेशन लिखिए, ये लिखिए मैटर नहीं करता है. नोटिफिकेशन सेम होते हैं दोनों. So W is the weight and weight is the share of that currency. E is the exchange rate. Okay, exchange rate is always between two currency, so we do not have to write exchange rate of India versus America. Exchange rate अपने आप में दो currency का होता है. Okay? And I to N, we add up from I in that first country's exchange rate with first country's weight, and then we take 1 to N. Okay, so that is N represents the weight. So this simple formula works for us. And what is REAR? Same thing. Average of weighted average of real exchange rate. बहुत सिंपल है. ये इसलिए सिंपल है क्योंकि हमने इस पे पहले बहुत टाइम लगाया है. Okay? Weighted average of real exchange rate. And right formula now. Same formula. We add one more thing here. I is equal to 1 to N EI WI. Okay? And so same formula, we just also multiply with the comparative prices or comparative CPI actually. Okay. So right here, the term is not exactly P, but whatever term is used, I, PI, आप समझ जाओगे. So right, since you've written it in that way, P represents the respective CPI. कंज्यूमर प्राइस इंडेक्स, बिकॉज प्राइस का भी एवरेज ही लेना पड़ेगा हमें. P represents the respective CPI. So PO is ours, Indian CPI, and PI is that country's. Clear? PO is Indian. Indian तो same रहेगा सभी में. So that is fixed PO. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So likewise, PI उस particular country का जिसका हम प्राइस ले रहे हैं, exchange rate ले रहे हैं. So that is formula नहीं पूछा जाएगा, कहीं लिखना नहीं है. In PT, but they can ask you that RER depend upon respective prices. Those type of things can be asked. So that is CPI, consumer price index. Okay, WPI use नहीं होता इसमें. What we use is CPI. So that is all about REER and NEER. Now the trend, the concept we have understood. Now the trend of REER and NEER. Right. In NEER, there has been a depreciation. In NEER, there has been a depreciation from 100 to 118 since 2005. Okay, on average, rupee has fallen by 18% in nominal terms. That is what it means against all the currencies since 2005. Are we clear now? Next line. Whereas in REER, we had appreciation by almost 100 to 91. From almost 100 to 91. So if we start in 2005 with the average of 100, today it has reached to 91. Our rupee value is improved by 9% on average. At one point of time, it was even up to 87. Okay, so real terms में भी rupee का कुछ decline हुआ है recently. So in 2018-17, it used to be 87. तब तक इतना improve हो चुका था. Now what does it reflect? लिखना नहीं है, but for your understanding, in nominal terms, rupee might have fallen, but in real terms, we have improved. What does it mean? That we give away less product, get more in exchange. Clear? लेकिन फिर भी हमारा nominal में decline क्यों हो रहा है? क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ inflation ज्यादा है. That is the reason we have fallen. Okay. So as soon as we bring the concept of this REER, हमारी value improve हो जाती है. Okay. So that's all about exchange rate. 2-3 बार पढ़ोगे ये बिल्कुल क्लियर हो जाएगा. This is the toughest topic. So थोड़ा सा पहली बार जब हम पढ़ते हैं, when we read for the first time, it is little bit challenging. And this is semester worth of material. ये MA में एक semester में पढ़ाया जाता है exchange rate. All these theories are very elaborative और इनके पीछे बहुत अच्छा explanation होता है. So that's all. Next topic will be foreign capital, which is a very small topic. We finish that and we start with IMF. Okay, आज हम IMF complete करेंगे. Capital. We do not have to explain what is foreign capital. Okay, I do not think that is required. So let us directly start with the types. So right, FPI. Types. So there are two types. FPI, foreign portfolio investment. Right. When foreigners buy, मुझे एक टर्म और डिस्कस करना था. Taper tantrum. I forgot that. Anyways, I will cover that after this foreign exchange. So I've written it here so that I remember. I mean, share financial instrument लिखेंगे. Where foreigners buy financial instruments in Indian market. Financial instruments in Indian market. We have discussed now financial instrument properly. So debt, equity. Okay. So typically bonds and equity. So that is FPI, portfolio investment. Now what is the concept of portfolio investment? Concept होता है that you are giving your money to someone and that person will deal with your money. You are not in charge of your money. Okay, so right, portfolio investment refers to the scenario where we give financial resources to others. And we have no direct control how those are used. ओके, ये एक मैंने आपको बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए बताया, जस्ट टोल्ड यू व्हाट इज पोर्टफोलियो। पोर्टफोलियो का मतलब ही है कि वो पैसा जो हमने एंट्रस्ट किया है किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को, किसी पर्सन को, कि आप मेरे मनी को मैनेज करो, जस्ट गिव मी फाइनेंशियल रिटर्न। नहीं, स्लीपिंग पार्टनर अलग चीज होता है। स्लीपिंग पार्टनर वो होता है जिसने, वो पार्टनर है तो उसका कंट्रोल है, ओके, थोड़ा सा कंट्रोल है। ये स्लीपिंग पार्टनर नहीं, स्लीपिंग पार्टनर एक बिल्कुल अलग कॉन्सेप्ट है।
In this MCQ, the second part.
दिखाइए,
Will it be the FDI?
which of the following constitute capital account? ये 24 या 25? 26, okay, include FDI। अभी ये कंप्लीट नहीं हुआ है, वेट, अभी मैंने कंप्लीट नहीं कराई डेफिनेशन, आपको उसके लिए वेट करना, अभी हो जाएगा। ये एक्सेप्शन होता है इसमें एक, इसीलिए मैंने ये डेफिनेशन भी लिखवाई है। दिस डेफिनेशन आई हैव डिस्कस्ड टू गिव दैट एक्सेप्शन, ओके, क्योंकि उसका एक कॉन्सेप्ट है। सो पोर्टफोलियो इन्वेस्टमेंट इज वेयर यू आर नॉट इन कंट्रोल ऑफ योर मनी। So now if you buy more than 10% shares in a company, then what happens? You are member of board of director। 10% से ज्यादा शेयर आपको बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर में मेंबरशिप देते हैं। और उस केस में क्या होगा, लिखो मत अभी कुछ भी, लिखाऊंगा वेट। उस केस में क्या होगा, उस केस में आपका अपनी फाइनेंशियल इन्वेस्टमेंट पे पूरी तरह कंट्रोल नहीं, बट एटलीस्ट सम recommendation you can still give, you have some say over your investment, and that we treat as FDI। so more than, now next paragraph में लिखिए, एफपीआई में आप किसी कंपनी का बॉन्ड खरीद रहे हो, पैसा अपने कंपनी को दिया, आप इंटरवीन नहीं कर सकते उस कंपनी में, वो आपका पैसा यूज करेंगे, उस कंपनी की एक ही कमिटमेंट है, हम आपको इतना पैसा बाद में वापस करेंगे। सेम है, तो हमने लिखा तो है फाइनेंशियल इंस्ट्रूमेंट में इक्विटी आती ही है, लेकिन इक्विटी अगर आप किसी कंपनी में इतनी खरीद लेंगे कि आपको बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर बना दे, तब तो आपका हो गया ना, वो एफडीआई हो जाएगा। यही हम कह रहे हैं। हाँ, अभी क्लियर है। नाउ राइट एफडीआई, तो वहां पे हम लिखेंगे उसके बारे में, राइट, फिजिकल इन्वेस्टमेंट्स इन लैंड, मशीनरी, physical investment in land, machinery, capital goods, buildings, etc., offices, etc. क्लियर? एक तो हो गया फिजिकल इन्वेस्टमेंट कि आपने कुछ प्रोडक्ट परचेज किया, विजिबली कुछ परचेज किया, और क्या है नेक्स्ट, इक्विटी परचेज ऑफ मोर देन 10%। इक्विटी परचेज ऑफ मोर देन 10%, 10% ऑफ व्हाट? 10% ऑफ मार्केट कैपिटल ऑफ ए कंपनी। मार्केट कैपिटल ऑफ ए कंपनी, कि कंपनी की जो टोटल वैल्यू है, मार्केट कैपिटल है, उसका 10% शेयर आपने ले लिया कंपनी का। So there are some terms in that, authorized capital, paid up capital. Right now I'm not going into that. उसके लिए यहाँ पे एक स्पेशल प्रोग्राम हम करने वाले हैं एक्चुअली। Today only I mean we have been talking about it for some days. उसका आज ही हमने एक डिजाइन बनाया, आप लोगों को तो वो कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री ही मिलेगा प्रोग्राम। So उसमें हम करेंगे 250 टर्म्स, स्टैटिक टर्म्स, so फाइनेंशियल मार्केट टर्म्स, बजटरी टर्म्स। So वो स्टैटिक टर्म्स 250 टर्म्स का एक 4 डेज प्रोग्राम करने वाले हैं, 4 सेम डे करंट अफेयर भी होगा। So 2.5 hour the terminology and then 2.5 hour करंट अफेयर। सो 4 दिन का ये स्पेशल प्रोग्राम होगा, एंड इसका हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव है कि ब्रॉडर ऑडियंस तक इससे रीच आउट किया जाए। सो आई हैव लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स हु आर रिक्वेस्टिंग मी टू डू दिस। सो कुछ टर्म्स टर्मिनोलॉजी जो आपकी अभी भी रह गई है ना, वो उधर एब्सोल्युटली एवरीथिंग विल बी कवर्ड, हार्डली एनी क्वेश्चन विल बी आउटसाइड जब ये कंप्लीट हो जाएगा आपका। सॉरी, हाँ, आप किसी भी कंपनी में कंट्रोलिंग स्टेक ले लेंगे तो वो आप उसके पास एफडीआई हो जाएगा। कंट्रोलिंग स्टेक कहां से आता है? 10% अबव इज कंट्रोलिंग स्टेक। सो इफेक्टिवली मेजॉरिटी नहीं है, मेजॉरिटी इज 50%, बट कंट्रोलिंग स्टेक आपका कुछ कंट्रोल है कंपनी में, आप बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर है। 10% में आप बाय डिफॉल्ट बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर है, यू डू नॉट हैव टू बी नॉमिनेटेड। 10 बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर है, हर किसी को वोट डालना है उसके लिए, 10% आपके वोट से आप खुद को नॉमिनेट हमेशा कर सकते हो, तो किसी और को जरूरत नहीं, आप खुद नॉमिनेट हो सकते हो। दैट इज हाउ इट वर्क्स। सो दैट इज आल्सो एफडीआई। यही था ना क्वेश्चन जो आपका, यही था। So this is clear. So now, right, types of FDI, and then we do types of FPI. हाँ, पहले FDI लिखो, छोटा ये थोड़ा। Types of FDI बहुत सिंपल है। फर्स्ट, greenfield, and this can be used for domestic investments also, same analysis. Greenfield, what is greenfield? Where assets are created from scratch, or assets are created. एसेट्स आर क्रिएटेड। हाँ, न्यू या ग्राउंड्स अप बोला जाता है इसको। एसेट्स आर क्रिएटेड फ्रॉम ग्राउंड्स अप। स्क्रैच की जगह हम ये टर्म यूज करते हैं, ग्राउंड्स अप। दिस इज ऑल्सो सेम थिंग, स्क्रैच। ग्राउंड्स अप का मतलब क्या, पहले वहां हरा मैदान था इसलिए इसको बोला जाता है ग्रीन फील्ड। ओके, ग्रीन फील्ड गिव्स यू वेरी क्लियर आइडिया दैट देयर वाज नथिंग ओवर देयर, इट वाज ग्रीन फील्ड। सो ग्रीन फील्ड एयरपोर्ट कंप्लीटली न्यू, देयर वाज नथिंग ओवर देयर। ब्राउन फील्ड एयरपोर्ट, एग्जिस्टिंग एयरपोर्ट में एक नया टर्मिनल बनाना। ओके, वो होता है। सो नेक्स्ट इज ब्राउन फील्ड, राइट। परचेज ऑफ एग्जिस्टिंग एसेट्स, सो मैक्सिमम एफडीआई इसी कैटेगरी में आती है, परचेज ऑफ एग्जिस्टिंग एसेट। फॉर एग्जांपल मर्जर्स एंड एक्विजिशंस, दिस इज द बिगेस्ट कैटेगरी ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट। फॉरेन कंपनी इंडियन कंपनीज के स्टेक परचेज करती है। मर्जर्स एंड एक्विजिशंस, M&A, एक्विजिशंस। ओके, सो दिस इज एक्वायरिंग एग्जिस्टिंग एसेट्स। एक्विजिशन कंप्लीटली एक्वायर करना, मर्जर किसी के साथ पार्टनरशिप करना। ओके, एंड देन अपग्रेडेशन ऑफ एग्जिस्टिंग एसेट, नहीं ये अलग नहीं, ब्राउन फील्ड में अपग्रेडेशन ऑफ एग्जिस्टिंग एसेट, दैट इज आल्सो ब्राउन फील्ड। यू आर नॉट क्रिएटिंग कंप्लीटली न्यू थिंग, यू आर अपग्रेडिंग existing, upgradation of existing asset. So these are the two categories of brownfield. Okay, so that is, these are the two types of FDI. Now write FPI, types of FPI. Types की भी जगह ये sources better है, but कोई बात नहीं, same heading will work. Okay, so in bracket you can write sources. So first source is foreign institutional investment, FII, या foreign एक मिनट रुकिए, इंस्टेड ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट राइट इन्वेस्टर। ओके, जस्ट उतना ही करना, फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर, बिकॉज हम सोर्स लिख रहे हैं, फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर। सो institutional investors are mostly banks and NBFCs. Banks and NBFCs from other countries. Mostly banks and NBFCs from other countries. Okay, for example, one of the big player in this market is JP Morgan Chase. For example, JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, Barclays. Okay, so ये सब examples हैं institutional investors के। BlackRock is a big player in Indian market. BlackRock, not dog. Okay, ROCK, not ROG. Okay, वो भी एक कंप्यूटर बना, गेमिंग कंप्यूटर बनाने वाली कंपनी भी एक ब्लैक ROG भी है एक्चुअली। सो दैट्स अ डिवीजन विद इन एसर, ब्लैक ROG. So that's not what I'm talking about. BlackRock. So BlackRock is very big player in India. Okay, so JP Morgan is the biggest one internationally. और एक और इंस्टीट्यूशन है जिसका नाम आता है, दैट इज गोल्डमैन सैक्स, दैट इज द बिगेस्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक इन द वर्ल्ड। गोल्डमैन सैक्स, SACH, गोल्डमैन सैक्स। ये इतना पावरफुल है कि जनरली जो यहां से रिटायर होता है वो यूएस का सेंट्रल बैंक गवर्नर बनता है। वर्ल्ड बैंक प्रेसिडेंट्स ने इसमें 4। गोल्डमैन सैक्स लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो मैं वैसे, दे हैव गिवन मेनी ऑफ द डायरेक्टर्स ऑफ द ट्रेजरी इन यूएसए, जो यहां से रिटायर होता है नॉर्मली, जैसे पॉल टिमोथी थे, उससे पहले एलन ग्रीन्सपैन थे, उससे पहले ये जो रिसेंटली जिनको नोबेल प्राइज मिला 2 साल पहले, बेन बर्नार्ड के, ये सब पहले गोल्डमैन सैक्स में इकोनॉमिस्ट थे। और गोल्डमैन सैक्स में जो चीफ इकोनॉमिस्ट रिटायर रहता है ना नॉर्मली, वो यूएस में ट्रेजरी चीफ बनता है, विच इज इक्विवेलेंट टू आरबीआई गवर्नर इन इंडिया। ओके, और इन लोग गोल्डमैन सैक्स के जो रिटायर्ड मैनेजर्स हैं, 4 लोग वर्ल्ड बैंक प्रेसिडेंट बने। That is how influential this institute is. So, anyways, वो random info है, वो एग्जाम के लिए relevant नहीं है, क्योंकि गोल्डमैन सैक्स इंडियन एग्जाम के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से relevant नहीं, but it's very big institute in that sense. I would say. Not all information is useful. Okay, some information is used just to impress people. Okay, not useful for examination. जितने आपके जो ये YouTube फ्रेंडली टीचर्स हैं, okay, पॉपुलर टीचर, वो उनका जो रहता है वो एग्जाम फ्रेंडली बहुत नहीं रहता है, बट वो इंप्रेस करने वाला रहता है। सो ठीक है, दैट इज आल्सो नेसेसरी फॉर मार्केटिंग, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट इज अ बैड थिंग। सो वो भी अपनी जगह जरूरी है, बट दैट डिपेंड्स। सो देयर आर सर्टेन टीचर्स जिनके नीचे अब वो, देयर वाज सर्टेन टाइम व्हेन पीपल वर एप्रिशिएटिंग, बट अभी उन लोगों ने उसको ओवर करना शुरू कर दिया, दैट इज शैडोइंग द टीचिंग पार्ट, एंड नाउ स्टूडेंट्स हैव स्टार्टेड कमेंटिंग ऑन देयर वीडियोस। जब वीडियो अपलोड होता है तो आता है, मैंने इस मास्टर को पढ़ाते हुए आज तक नहीं देखा। सो दिस टाइप ऑफ, तो एक्सेस नहीं होना चाहिए, इसमें कोई बुराई नहीं है करने में, एक लिमिट। क्लास में आपने 10 मिनट्स कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट्स ट्रिविया बता दिया, दैट इज ट्रिविया, नॉट मोर देन दैट। 5-7 मिनट आप कुछ किसी चीज को इलैबोरेट कर दे, तो कोई पॉलिटिकल ओपिनियन, सोशल ओपिनियन, ऑल ऑफ दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, बट इट शुड नॉट बी एक्सीडिंग मोर देन 20 मिनट्स इन एनी क्लास। वही पे लिमिट होनी चाहिए। आई थिंक दैट्स माय ओपिनियन, दैट डिपेंड्स पर्सन टू पर्सन। एनीवेज दिस इज क्लियर। एफआईआई, सो ये इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर होते हैं, दे हैव सेम स्टेटस एज, लिखना नहीं अगेन, दिस इज एक्स्ट्रा इन्फॉर्मेशन, दे हैव सेम स्टेटस एज ए ब्रोकर इन इंडियन मार्केट। जो हमारे स्टॉक ब्रोकर्स होते हैं, दे हैव मेंबरशिप ऑफ नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, सो दीस पीपल हैव डायरेक्ट मेंबरशिप ऑफ स्टॉक एक्सचेंज। ओके, सो दे ऑलमोस्ट एक्ट लाइक ए ब्रोकर। आई मीन ये एग्जाम में आएगा नहीं, बट समझने के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है। ओके, सो व्हाट इज द स्टेटस ऑफ एफआईआई? दे हैव सेम स्टेटस एज ए ब्रोकर इन इंडिया। क्लियर नाउ? Next is P notes, participatory notes. First write P notes or participatory notes, then write the other term also in bracket, P-notes. एक और promissory note भी होते हैं, we do not call them P notes. P notes participatory को ही कहा जाता है. Okay, so right, individuals can purchase stocks or bonds. Individuals can purchase stocks or bonds through FII, using P note route. Using P note route. Now try to understand. JP Morgan Chase is buying shares in India. JP Morgan Chase is buying as per its own plan. वो JP Morgan का अपना plan है. They have taken money from people in mutual funds, and to manage their mutual funds, they want to maximize returns. So वो investor decide नहीं कर रहा है JP Morgan क्या लेगा. JP Morgan का decision है. All that type is FII, institutional investment. लेकिन JP Morgan is, अगर कोई पर्सन उनको $1 लाख देके कहता है मेरे लिए इंडिया में रिलायंस के शेयर ले लो, they will do that also. That will be P note. जहां पे JP Morgan ने सिर्फ फैसिलिटेटर का काम किया, ना कि खुद इन्वेस्ट किया. That is P note route. So when they are buying for a customer, clear? That is P note route. Any doubt? हाँ, indirectly buying for them, क्योंकि उनको डायरेक्ट पार्टिसिपेशन करना अलाउड नहीं था पहले, तो P note से ही आ सकते थे. आपको कोई स्पेसिफिक शेयर चाहिए तो P note ही लेना पड़ेगा. बट एक इंटरेस्टिंग है इसमें, जो एग्जाम में आ सकता है क्वेश्चन, राइट? इन केस ऑफ P notes, the securities always belong to FII. ये एक टेक्निकल एस्पेक्ट है जिसमें इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. सिक्योरिटीज ऑलवेज बिलोंग टू एफआई. ओनर कौन होगा उस शेयर का? वो स्टिल जेपी मॉर्गन ही होगा. ओके, द क्लाइंट गेट्स ए पी नोट, इसलिए इसको बोला जाता है पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट. उस क्लाइंट को मिलेगा पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट, उसको एक्चुअल शेयर कभी नहीं मिलेगा. यू गॉट द पॉइंट? द क्लाइंट गेट्स द पी नोट और स्टॉक रहेगा हमेशा एफआईआई के पास. ये डिफरेंस होता है. Sorry, the client gets the P note, but that's it. Now, what is the controversy related to it? As a concept, we have understood, right? P notes have been misused for money laundering. P notes have been misused for money laundering. So, what is laundry? Wash the clothes. जो हम धुलाई करते हैं उसको laundry बोला जाता है. So, when you wash black money into white money, okay? पैसे का काली उतारते हैं, उसको बोला जाता है मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग. सो कन्वर्टिंग ब्लैक मनी टू व्हाइट मनी इज कॉल्ड मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग. सो यू कैन वेरी इजीली अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम द टर्म लॉन्ड्री. ओके, कैसा करेंगे? कैसा ऐसा करेंगे क्योंकि इसमें वो नहीं होता था पहले केवाईसी. सो हमें अपनी कंपनी का ही शेयर खरीदना है और उसमें मैनिपुलेशन करना है. इंडिया से करेंगे तो वो ब्रोकर के थ्रू होगा. अब उसको लेके सेबी विजिल है काफी. मैं किसी फॉरेन बैंक को पैसा दूंगा, मेरी कंपनी का शेयर परचेज करो. मार्केट में मेरी कंपनी का शेयर अगर एफआईआई परचेज कर रहे हैं तो मेरी कंपनी के स्टॉक के लिए बड़ा अच्छा सिंबल होता है कि दिस कंपनी इज बिकम वेरी अट्रैक्टिव फॉर फॉरेन कंपनीज. इसमें तो बाहर के बैंक में इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, मेरे स्टॉक को बूम मिलेगा इमीडिएट इंडिया में. इंटरनल ट्रेडिंग होता है वो. फिर आपने फॉरेन में पनामा पेपर्स के थ्रू मनी स्टैश किया है, उसको इंडिया में वापस लाना है, कैसे लाओगे? पी नोट के थ्रू. ये होता है. क्लियर? तो पी नोट इसलिए यूज होता है. डू यू हैव रिमोट फॉर दिस एयर कंडीशनर? यहाँ पे दिस इज टू कूल नाउ. So this is clear. P note, and what is the issue with P note? तो इसकी वजह से इस पे कई बार restriction लग चुका है. Hence they have been restricted many times. So that is all. अभी वो allowed है. At present the status is allowed with proper KYC. Clear? So this is all about P note. Next route is QFI, qualified foreign investor. QFI, qualified foreign investor. So right, this was recently allowed for HNI, allowed for HNI, high net worth individuals. This was recently allowed for HNI, high net worth individuals. HNI is a proper term. Okay, it's a very well established term. HNI and firms. Of course, we are talking about foreign, so we do not have to write that always. Foreign capital में foreign की बात होगी. So, and firms. So if some company or a rich person wants to buy share in India, they do not have to necessarily come through P-note. We can offer them direct membership with NSC and BSc. अगर आप उतना पैसा लेके आते हो, for example, you commit $10 million every year minimum, then we can give you direct NSC membership. तो ये है QFI. So this was done to improve transparency. हमने recently allow किया था. Okay. So right, they have to commit a minimum capital. अगर आप उतना नहीं करोगे तो next year आपका status cancel हो जाएगा. They have to commit a minimum capital / transaction. दोनों का क्राइटेरिया होता है, इतना मिनिमम ट्रांजैक्शन होना चाहिए और इतना कैपिटल इन्वेस्टेड रहना चाहिए परमानेंटली. सो दे हैव टू कमिट अ मिनिमम कैपिटल एंड ट्रांजैक्शन, एंड दे कैन डायरेक्टली ट्रेड थ्रू स्टॉक मार्केट्स. क्लियर? सो दिस इज ऑल्सो एन ऑप्शन. सो दिस वाज अलाउड. ये चेंजेस हमने समवेयर अराउंड 2015-16 में किए थे. When we also changed the FDI FPI criteria, पहले ऐसा टर्म भी नहीं होता था FPI. FPI as a term was also introduced recently. Earlier we had only one term, foreign institutional investment. FII ही बोला जाता था उसे, and इसीलिए बोलते थे क्योंकि money can only come through the foreign institution, either P-note or their own. So money always was coming from institutions. Later we defined this as portfolio, and that is when we also added this 10% criteria. So all of this was Arvind Mayram committee. अभी आउटडेट हो चुका है because it is almost 10 year old. उतनी पुरानी कमेटी डायरेक्टली नहीं पूछी जाएगी because it is not in news as such. Okay, but this was recent, some 9-10 years ago it happened. So Arvind Mayram committee gave this FPI, it gave this QFI, it gave this 10% criteria. ये सब उस टाइम पे चेंजेस हुए थे. Got the point? So next is, there is one more way foreigners can invest. Can you tell me in case you are aware of this topic, so can you tell me the fourth route or the last route in which foreigners can buy Indian stocks? Sorry? नहीं, वो अलग चीज, वो मैं भी डिस्कस करूंगा. मसाला बोर्ड इसके बाद लिखेंगे. ADR, American Depository Receipt. ADR, American Depository Receipts, or GDR/GDR, Global Depository Receipt. ये भी एक रूट होता है. दिस इज ऑल्सो एन एडिशनल मेथड. अमेरिकन डिपॉजिटरी रिसीट एंड ग्लोबल डिपॉजिटरी रिसीट. राइट. इन दिस केस, इंडियन कंपनीज लिस्ट इन फॉरेन स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस. इन दिस केस, इंडियन कंपनीज लिस्ट इन फॉरेन स्टॉक एक्सचेंजेस. Okay, so if American, then it is called ADR. In rest of the world, it is called GDR. I do not think that we have to explain that. That is self-explanatory. So America में अगर कोई Indian company list करती है NYSE में, New York Stock Exchange, Nasdaq, so that will be American Depository Receipts. So now in the earlier cases, foreigners were coming to India. Now our companies are going there and making it easy for them to put money. Still, foreigners are buying Indian stocks. Okay, so receipts from America through the sale of Indian stocks in the American stock market is ADR. Clear? Easy है याद रखना. And what would be IDR? Indian Depository Receipt क्या होगा? Write in bracket. For example, Hyundai, Samsung are planning to list in Gift City, IFSC. ये actual news है इसलिए लिखवा रहा हूँ. For example, Hyundai and Samsung are planning to list in Gift City. I'm sure you are aware of Gift City. GIFT, Gift City. So it is between Gandhinagar and Ahmedabad. So it is in Gujarat. So Gift City is our future Frankfurt or our future Hong Kong in a way. And it is the first 100% planned city in India and the first 100% sustainable and green city in India. Okay, and it is also one of the big showcase city. So it will be our first international stock exchange, which is called IFSC, International Financial Services Center. That is IFSC. So वहां पे हम एक इंटरनेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज बना रहे हैं. वहां ऑलरेडी हमारी बात हो चुकी है कुछ कंट्रीज के साथ, एंड द फ्रेंडली कंपनीज विच ऑफ बिग साइज इन इंडिया, वी हैव कन्विंस्ड देम दैट दे विल लॉन्च दैट इंटरनेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज. वी नीड सम रेप्यूटेड कंपनीज टू लिस्ट बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट विल मेक न्यूज. सो we have almost convinced this Hyundai, Samsung, they are going to list, LG will list. So these Korean companies, in addition to that, some of the Japanese companies, Honda, etc., their global shares will be listed here, and also some more. Okay, so that will be the IDR, Indian Depository Receipts. अभी ये है तो सही for namesake, but there is no foreign company listed in India. Practically zero है. For namesake we have it, but in reality it is not there. अभी क्या होता है, जो foreigners Indian bonds खरीदते हैं, सॉरी अमेरिकन बॉन्ड जो इंडियन स्टॉक मार्केट में कुछ लिस्ट होते हैं, उसके लिए हमारे IDR होते हैं. So foreigners listing their stocks in Indian stock market or IFSC, those will be known as IDR. Clear? So these are all about FPI, complete. Okay. ADR, GDR is also one of the way. और ADR, GDR बहुत जगह गलत दिया है, बहुत सारी बुक्स में गलत दिया है, YouTube वीडियोस में लोगों ने गलत पढ़ाया है, क्योंकि perhaps they've used those books as a source. रमेश सिंह में गलत है by the way, और मुझे लगता है वहीं से मिस्टेक है जिसके कारण कुछ लोग गलत पढ़ा भी रहे. But you can be rest assured this is the correct thing. Okay, so ये इसका correct version है. So in case of विवेक सिंह में भी मिस्टेक्स मैंने देखे. आई एम नॉट श्योर अबाउट दिस वन, बट मिस्टेक मैंने वहां भी देखी है. और जहां तक बात है टीचर्स के पढ़ाने की, वाजीराम में भी गलत पढ़ाया हुआ है, ये मैंने वहां का भी वीडियो देखा है. मैंने ये अनअकैडमी का वीडियो भी देखा है, वहां भी गलत पढ़ाया है. स्टडी IQ पे भी गलत पढ़ाया है. ये कॉन्सेप्ट को लेकर भयानक कंफ्यूजन है. क्यों? क्योंकि बुक्स में रॉन्ग है. उन लोगों ने बुक्स से पढ़ा, इकोनॉमिक्स बैकग्राउंड नहीं है एक्चुअली इन सभी टीचर्स का. दे आर चार्टेड अकाउंटेंट्स और सम अदर बैकग्राउंड, और उस कारण से वो लोग बुक से ही पढ़ के पढ़ा सकते हैं. ऑफ कोर्स आई एम नॉट ब्लेमिंग देम. जो वो कहा जाता है ना, कहावत इंडिया में, कुएं में भांग किसी और ने घोला है, वो तो दैट इज डन एट प्रीवियस लेवल. सो वो परहैप्स कहीं एक मिस्टेक सोर्स से हुई है, और वो इतना पॉपुलर सोर्स है कि हर जगह मिस्टेक हो रही है. बट ये बड़ा क्लियर है, यही होता है अमेरिकन डिपॉजिट. व्हेन यू रिसीव मनी थ्रू अमेरिकन डिपॉजिट्स, दैट इज अमेरिकन डिपॉजिटरी रिसीट्स. So these are 4 types of foreign portfolio investment. And by the way, this name Mayaram is also very interesting. I mean, whenever I say this name, it's always intrigues me. Generally we say, I mean, some people are unfortunate and we use the term for them, na Maya mili na Ram. Okay. That neither you got the God or the spirituality in life, nor you get the wealth. So that is the worst of the scenario. His name is Mayaram. His parents decided should have both in life, Maya as well as Ram. So his name is Mayaram. That's not surname, that's his name. Arvind Mayaram is the full name. Surname is after that. Anyways, so that's all about this. Now, some other concepts about foreign capital, some terms related to foreign capital, terminologies we have covered largely. Now, some of the concepts. So, one of the concept associated with them is, right, FPI is often also called hot money. Underline hot money. This is a term associated with it. FPI is also called hot money. Again, the origin of the term is from physics. Economics में आदि terms का origin physics से होते हैं. Hot means what? Matter when heated up becomes more volatile. Its molecules start moving around with at higher velocity. That is from where the term comes. Hot means more volatile, and it is in the same sense in modern language also hot is used. Okay. So hot money, why? Because it is volatile. Okay, as it is considered to be more volatile. Have you ever thought in language expression, the term are used, cool man or so cool, that being around you or you are quite stable. In that sense, it is used cool. Or hot man or hot for girls, it is often used. So it is used in a context that maybe looking at her or being near to her makes me unstable. So in that sense, actually, it is used. That is the origin. Origin is in physics, if you look at it. हम generally सोचते नहीं हैं. I mean, when we see the word, I mean, this is my habit. I always go for the root. I mean, what is the meaning? In what context the word has originated? So, उसी sense में है ये भी hot. Okay, volatile. So why it is hot money? Because it can move in, move out very quickly. There is no commitment to it. Okay, it can quickly move in and quickly move out. And now with this context, we can also discuss taper tantrum. Okay, there are 2-3 contexts to this. Next, right, taper tantrum. Now, taper is a term we use in day-to-day life also, particularly in construction. Tapered, or you have to construct it, make this in taper. Taper means with a slope. Okay, so taper simply refers to a slope. Now, when you have an increasing trend, it will look like a slope.
Introducing the Prelims Target course and Prelims Test Series at ProdEgyIAS. Designed for UPSC Prelims 2026, this comprehensive program offers in-depth classes on history, geography, science and tech, environment, polity and governance, and economy. Stay updated with current affairs and sharpen your skills with our Prelims Test Series consisting of 50 full-length tests covering all subjects along with CSAT. Join ProdEgyIAS and stay ahead.